I'm here with Justin Folk. He is, of course, a film producer and director. After working in Hollywood on films like The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions and The Incredible Hulk, Justin shifted his creative efforts to create films with a cultural impact. He produced and directed the smash hit film What is a Woman, starring our own Matt Walsh. It's one of the most watched documentaries of all time. It's been translated into nearly a dozen languages worldwide. And, of course, he's now teamed up again with Matt and recently produced and directed the film Am I Racist?, set to release nationwide in theaters September 13th, 2024. Justin, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
So I've seen the film. It's awesome. Tell me about the genesis of this film. Where did this come from?
I mean, it comes on the heels of What is Woman? You mentioned What is Woman there. We had great success in terms of getting a message out there, making a huge cultural impact. So, we didn't want to get off the train, honestly. We have a good thing going here with Matt and our team, awesome team of producers. And we just okay, what can we do next? And what's the issue that we can do next? And how are we going to go about it? We didn't want to make a sequel, per se. So we knew we had to kind of go bigger than the last film. And so we decided, hey, how do we do this? How do we go bigger and not make just What is a Woman Part 2 this time on race? So we really kind of got a bunch of minds in a room and came up with a lot of ideas, some good, some bad. And came out the other side with this idea to take Matt on this journey and sort of do a, if What is Woman kind of does a zig, this one does a zag, What is Woman, Matt learns about the issue, ultimately goes and kind of fights against it, stands up against it. In this movie, he does the opposite. He basically learns about it and becomes one of them, and we take things to their logical conclusions. So it was just, after What is a Woman, we decided, hey, let's do this again, but let's go bigger. Let's go bigger this time.
So what's it like working with Matt? I mean, he's obviously, as Jeremy Boring puts it, sociopathic. I mean, you watch him in this film, and it's so hard to watch the interaction between him and some of these anti-racist educators and figures who are being paid thousands of dollars to be there. And Matt just keeps digging deeper and deeper with them. And every time you think that he's reached the center of the onion, there's more layers of him just making it awkward with them. How is it working with Matt?
I mean, Matt is like 4D chess out there. And you can't read him, right? So don't ever play poker with Matt Walsh. Just don't do it, because he doesn't show anything. And so he's able to, in those conversations, he's able to kind of move it this way and move it that way, almost like a cat with a ball of yarn. He can just kind of bat that person around a little bit. The scene with Robin DiAngelo is just a masterful example of Matt really knowing where he wants to take it and then finding the path to get there. And so he's a unique talent, obviously, to be not just a guy who knows about these ideas, but to drop him in a situation like that's high pressure and there's no second takes. And for him to just sort of navigate around and just sort of kind of lead that person around like they're on a leash. It's amazing to watch.
I mean, one of the questions that occurs to me, and I'm an executive producer on the film, but one of the things that occurs to me watching it, because I've only seen actually an early product and then the very, very final form of the film. I mean, when you're doing things like there's a grief therapy session for white people, and it's unbelievable, and Matt is hysterically funny in it. I mean, how do you even set up that scenario? Because obviously you have cameras in the room, you have microphones in the room. People know they're on film, I would assume, while they're in the room. I mean, it's not like it's a hidden camera thing.
Right.
And so were you surprised at how much people were sort of willing to be themselves in front of a camera and mic?
I mean, to a certain degree, yes. I mean, my job as a director is to basically create the sandbox for Matt to play in. And there's a lot of preparation that goes into that. So that involves reaching out to these people, saying to them, hey, we'd love to film your workshop, your support group workshop. We're doing a film on anti-racism. You guys are an example of sort of anti-racism and how, how that can go. And so we would, get their permission to basically just film a workshop, do their normal thing. We were don't change anything you're doing. We just want to observe. And then, just parachuting Matt into the scene as the extra element that kind of, to spice things up. So I'm always surprised when you hear these people in real life say what they have to say. And really that's the whole point of the film, right? Is to show Americans, this is what these people believe. This is what they're pushing on the rest of us. And we as Americans need to know, is this really the direction that we want to take ourselves? And so very important just to show them in their own words. And we didn't take them out of context. We don't edit them out of context. We just show them for what they truly are, what they truly believe. And we let the chips, basically fall from there for Americans to decide.
I mean, one of the things that's really striking, there's a scene that happens in the film where Matt actually just goes and talks to kind of normie Americans. He goes to a bar, and he goes to an auto shop, and he just talks with normal Americans. And the difference between kind of the normal American who just has a baseline understanding of biblical values, like be kind to your neighbor and treat your neighbor how you would want to be treated, and the pseudo-intellectual nonsense, the jargon that's just spewed by these people, it's beautifully juxtaposed. I mean, you really see in true color kind of the difference between people who are good and people who manipulate for money and for power and for grift. It's amazing.
Yeah, and this isn't just a funny movie. It's a funny movie about a very serious topic, and so it was very important to have that contrast. It was important to have those regular, everyday people that live their lives and aren't part of this crazy division that's taking place. In fact, it's actually the heart and soul of the movie. When people watch the movie, they look at the scene. We interviewed a guy named Milton down in New Orleans, and he is the heart and soul of the film. He's just a guy that's had a good go here in America. He loves the country, and Matt sits down with him, and Matt asks him kind of these crazy questions coming from the perspective of a DEI race hustler, and he just doesn't buy it. He just starts laughing. He's like, "This is crazy," and we noticed, of course, that whether they were black, whether they were white, they basically had the same exact message when Matt talked to them. These regular, everyday people, and then when we hold that in contrast to these so-called experts, these people that are pushing this stuff, it really is astounding. The chasm that's there.
So when you were filming it, what was the scene where you finished filming the scene and you and Matt just sort of like high-fived each other? You're like, man,
there was a couple of those. I will say, like the workshop scene at the end, where it's a bit of a social experiment. We put these people in a room, and Matt is teaching a DEI course based on everything he's sort of learned along the way. So these are all their ideas, and we're just showing them to their logical conclusion. But at the end of that scene, we have this scene, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but we have this crazy scene with Matt and his uncle, Uncle Frank. And we never know how this is going to go. We thought people would walk out of the workshop because they'd be upset with Matt because how he treats his uncle in that scene. But in fact, the opposite happened. They piled on to what Matt was doing. And that was extremely shocking. And I remember when we were done filming that, Matt walks over to me and he just is like, "Man, that was dark." That was dark. And although a funny scene, it actually kind of points to a very fundamental, kind of a deep problem in our society, that we've gotten this far, that people would be in a situation like that and want to pile on. It just shows you what this all leads to.
So, obviously, these films are a huge process. They're a huge journey. And now at the end of this one, we're taking it to theaters. This is the first time that Daily Wire has ever released a movie in theaters. It's going to be released to at least over 1,500 screens, last we heard, over the weekend, which is an amazing thing for a documentary. Talk a little bit about how important that is. You've had movies in theaters before, but nothing like this.
It's a beautiful thing. And I'm so proud of everybody, our distributor, SDG, and everything they've done. Of course, the Daily Wire nobody else would make a movie like this. Daily Wire, nobody else would do it. The collaboration with you and Jeremy Boring and everybody on the team to make this happen is a really amazing thing. And it's not easy. Theaters don't usually take movies like this. We had to kind of prove ourselves to do that. They gave us a certain amount of screens, and then pre-sales were good, and then we got to expand. But it's huge in terms of culture, because people look at movies differently than they do, no offense, but podcasts and everything else.
One's a permanent piece of culture, and
right.
one is day to day.
Yeah. And so it's for us to kind of break into that sphere is very important, and to get our message delivered to just regular everyday Americans that may be a little bit tuned out on the issues, but to drop this piece of culture in their laps and get them to think about these things is so important. And for us to be the ones that entertain and make people laugh, so important for us as conservatives to be able to do that. And we haven't always done it well. Times are changing, and I'm thrilled. I'm very lucky to be part of that. To be able to do a movie like this with Matt and with Daily Wire. It's an incredible privilege, and we just are betting. We are absolutely betting on the fact that people will go out and support this thing. That they've been waiting a long time. That Hollywood has been shoveling up the drivel for so long, and now here's an opportunity to say, no, this is the type of thing that I want to support at the box office. So I think it's not just an opportunity for us as storytellers. It's an opportunity for America to go out and be like, This is the kind of thing that I want to see more of.
Well, Justin, it's an amazing piece of work. Honestly, like, amazing job by you, amazing job by Matt. And folks, you really should go see it in the theater. September 13th, it's available. Bring all your friends because it's best watched in a group. We watched it the other night in a group together. And I got to say, with the crowd, it's hysterically funny. It's really, really, really funny. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to learn a lot from it. Make sure you bring a liberal friend because they'll learn a lot from it too. Go check it out. That, of course, is Am I Racist? And you can pre-buy your tickets at miracist.com.
Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Growing up, I never thought much about race. It never really seemed to matter that much, at least not to me.
Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
If I'm going to sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover.
They gon' say I'm racist.
Joining us now is Matt, certified DEI expert.
Here's my certification.
And what you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. Listen more for you in this field. Is America inherently racist?
The word inherent is challenging
I want
there.
to rename the George Washington Monument to the George Floyd Monument.
America is racist to its bones.
So inherently.
Yeah, this country is a piece of
White.
folks.
White.
Trash. White supremacy.
White woman. White boy.
Is there a black person around? What's a black person right here? Does he not
They gon'
exist?
say I'm racist.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. What's your name?
I'm Matt.
Just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
They gon' say you racist.
In theaters now. Rated PG-13.